Hello and welcome guys to Ask Me Anything question. We are streaming live on LinkedIn, Twitch, YouTube, as well as Kick. So I will try and follow all of the platforms and answer any of your burning questions, guys. So please send me any questions about career, about cybersecurity, anything that you wish to learn or find out more. We'll try and answer all of the burning questions while we are running in all of the platforms live, guys. So let me just figure. Anything that you wish to learn or find out more. Let me turn that away, so make sure that I'm not streaming myself. So yeah guys, send me any questions that you guys have and I'll try and answer it, guys. We are running live across all of the platforms. Let me just double check. Hello guys. As I said before, again, just send me any questions in the chats. I'll try and answer any of the burning questions, guys, through all of the streams that we're currently running, whether it's YouTube, Kick, Twitch, as well as LinkedIn. So drop me your questions about cybersecurity and we'll try and answer them live for you here. The fallout from Jaguar Land Rover. I think that's an interesting question. I think the main fallout what I'm currently seeing, I think, is that hopefully it brings a bit of a focus and brings attention to how we can't actually neglect things in cybersecurity. I think sometimes, I think there is a reason why we say in cybersecurity that, never waste a good incident. I think lately I've been seeing a trend where I believe organizations are trying to outsource and offshore a lot of cybersecurity. And I think this is partly blamed, and actually I released a video the other day. It's partly blamed to, we have this phenomena currently going on around that it says we have a massive skills shortage in cybersecurity, which most of us experts actually don't believe. There's plenty of talent to cover all of the empty roles, but I think this kind of phenomena been created because organizations A either don't want to pay for the training, or they don't want to pay the market rate that people should be earning. So they're creating this phenomena of saying skill shortage in order to follow this, offshoring and outsourcing sort of position. I think secondly as well, and I've been talking a lot about this, there's a lot of organizations who are saying, in practice they have tabletop sort of, or they have incident response scenario, they have, business continuity plan, but normally this kind of only works in theory. If you got a big organization that's kind of mixed and split between, legacy systems versus, current and up-to-date systems, there's a lot of work to be actually to build a proper backup, as well as recovery. So I think a lot of misconception is that what is your recovery plan? I think they are more ideally built in a theory than actually in reality. And I think we need to spend more time to actually simplifying this and understanding where the actual problems are. So I think that's the main couple of things. I think obviously there's a couple of more things gonna come out of this, because I think supposedly JLR, there is a link, because obviously JLR is being owned by Tata Motors, which there is a connection with they own Tata Consultancy Services. So there's been suggested that obviously Tata Consultancy Services have been involved or been indirectly sort of responsible for M&S breach, for co-op breach. So it'll be an interesting as well once all of the data comes out, where where it came from, how it happened, what has been taken, what hasn't been taken. So there's a lot of developments to be had in the near future. But if you think about how you built your systems and how you interconnected are, that's another thing. Because I've been always talking, so for example, if you build your incident response plan, the question normally is, who has the power to pull the cord? Because if you are being attacked by ransomware, now who has the power and decision making ability to pull the cord and stop this from spreading versus halting the operations? Because sometimes you need to hold the operations to save your company for now, instead of and reap the benefits and recover much quicker than be offline for what's JLR been offline 6, 7, 8 weeks now. So yeah, I think there's gonna be a lot of fallout from that, and there's gonna be interesting developments to see where this is all gonna go. Now, let's talk about CISP and CISM. Relevant? It really depends. I think I've done both certifications some time ago, but I think I've done them mainly for sort of idea going into the leadership position. I would say it really depends nowadays. They're not cheap certifications, A, to not only to get, but B, to also maintain. They require annual fee, they require a certain amount of hours, of training every year in order to maintain both certifications. So there's a lot of work goes into that. Now, the relevance, I'll tell you one thing though. I think there are certificates that you normally split out into kind of two areas. There are some of them that allows you to build and develop certain skills and potentially advance your career, whereas others they become more essentially as ATS, HR sort of filter, tick box ticking exercise. Because if you are an engineer, you are a SOC analyst, or any of the sort of technical nitty gritty roles, you're never going to need CISSP or CISSM certificate ever. Now, if you want to go and work and get yourself into cybersecurity leadership, they have their place, and every CISO, every senior director role will have one of them or both of them as a requirement. Now, whether does that stop you from getting a job? I don't think so. But then again, I would caveat the second thing as well. I say it's an ATS and HR filter, but that's only if you are applying for roles. Now, from my own experience, and and I know a lot of CISOs who currently are struggling and looking for work, applying to roles directly is becoming more and more pointless and irrelevant, because most of the kind of CVs and stuff like that is just being screened by now AI sort of HR systems, ATS systems, that it becomes almost impossible to get through those filters. So roles are now, and some of the roles as well, you have to remember, some of the roles that are even being advertised, they are more for just smoke and mirrors. Sometimes they don't exist, or sometimes they are advertised purely because they already have the candidate, but they need to advertise to bypass HR requirements as such. But especially in leadership, looking for roles happen through networking, through referrals, through relationships. You don't rarely people apply through these roles. You build connections, and I think that's why the senior you are in cybersecurity, the relationships and the networks that you build, the more important they become, because your peers are the ones that are going to support you. Your peers are going to help you open the doors and things like that. All of these communications and networks that you have is going to be instrumental for you in advancing your career. And most of the time, what happens, somebody in a very senior position gets approached by a CISO role. They might not be interesting to move, but they will say to your closest peer, saying, look, this company is recruiting, that's what they're offering. If you're interested in to move, I'll put in touch with you. And that's how referrals happen. That's how these roles get filled. I don't think many CISOs are applying for roles nowadays. This is all being done via networks and via back channels. CISO roles, it's very hard to fill these days, and it's very hard to apply for them and try and land them. But I would say don't end up becoming a badge collector. If you really want, and you want to get into the sort of leadership, then by all means, you can pursue any of the certificates. But I'll add one thing as well. You have to remember that both CISP and CISM require 5 years work experience. They're not, sometimes I've seen, where people have been told, they've just warmed up their feet into cybersecurity and been told to do CISP and CISM. No, there's no point. You have to have enough experience, and at least 5 years in cybersecurity in one of the 3 domains to actually being able to get this certification. So there's no point rushing and trying to get any of them. Yeah, no problem. Happy to answer any questions. I kind of thought about running more of these sessions because, I get pinged various kind of questions through various forums, but I think sometimes just having an opportunity for people to ask questions live and actually being able to, find out what they want to find out, because sometimes, in a message, especially when you're trying to write, it's very hard to be expressive enough and answer some of these questions, in enough detail. But happy to answer any questions, guys. Ping me across YouTube, Kick, Twitch, as well as LinkedIn. I'm not sure if LinkedIn stream is running, because as far as I'm aware, for some reason it doesn't appear. So I think I'll need to double check next time I run. So LinkedIn might not be running, but hopefully we get enough questions asked for all of the other platforms, guys. So let me know any burning questions that you might have, guys. throughout all of the platforms, and then we'll try and answer any of your burning questions about cybersecurity, about career, about breaking into cybersecurity, or anything else within the industry on our live stream. A good question. Next question comes in. Why are boards so lackadaisical about cybersecurity still? I think there are reasons for it, and I think the problem is it's kind of probably split between both sides. There are at fault from technical cybersecurity leaders who years and years been showcasing, vulnerability numbers, incident numbers, and sort of technical metrics to the boards, while making them bored and actually don't understand or don't have any meaning from them. And on the flip side as well, I think boards usually deem cybersecurity risk that, it's something that you read always on the news, but you think that it's never going to hit us, it's never going to happen to us. And people always assume that, we are the last company to be targeted. But any company that makes profit, the chances are you're going to be targeted. Now, it's up to you, I think, as a CISO, as a cybersecurity leader, to create a powerful enough story to understand not only how we need to protect the business. I think sometimes, we need to start changing the narrative here in cybersecurity. And I think that, people have been talking too much about, just protection. It's not only about protection. You're a cybersecurity leader, that your goal is to enable business to grow while protecting the revenue. So, how you can enhance and unlock the next growth. So it's about how you tailor that conversation. And I've always been saying, for example, how can, through effective, say for example, cybersecurity compliance, how you can allow business, or for example, business development to close more deals. Now, often it's talked, you land ISO 27001, now all of a sudden your trust within your clients, your customers increases. You are able to close sales cycles quicker. You have normally, as a security organization, you have technical expertise. You can help other departments with technical know-how, with automation, help people to protect data, how we protect the reputation, how we make sure that we remove operational disruption from the business via, any cyber incidents wise. So it's about understanding about risk, and I think it's transforming that conversation. For example, you say to the board, over the next year there is a high chance of ransomware attack to the business that will, say for example, have a damage of $10 million. Now, if we deploy this, and then you provide options, let's say option A is we spend £1 million on these two amazing tools and build these processes that will reduce the risk by 90%. Or instead, we could spend 400k to reduce the risk by 60%, or we could do nothing and then we risk a 10 million ransomware attack. But I need you to sign on the dotted line that you agree to accept the risk. Now, when you put executives on a line to sign on the dotted line and accept the massive risk that they are taking, it normally focuses people's minds to do something about it. It's up to you how you build the direction and connect. Risk quantification is the really good way, because I always said before, whenever we used to present risk matrices, 5x5, whenever you say to the board, this is risk 12 or risk 16, really people understand what's that difference now. But if you say there is a risk, there is a high chance risk, or, you know, even in percentage wise, that, you know, a couple of $1 million loss, and you know what money you need to spend to significantly reduce that risk. You know, when you start talking money, the conversation becomes much more easier to do. You know, and then, you know, you can leverage various other things, you know, depending on what business you are. But you have, you know, regulations, you have contractual requirements, which obviously can also help you enhance your security if you are signing up that, you know, to your clients that you're doing, you know, whether it's static code analysis, dynamic code analysis, you are selling a product or a platform. It allows you to spend and enhance your product security. So, you know, there are ways to do all of this to get better buy-in, as well as to enhance all of that. Let me know, guys, if you got any more burning questions across the platforms. Would love to answer any of your burning cybersecurity questions. Some great questions from Ray WBC that came in, and hopefully the answers were useful. I'm going to stick around for another 10 minutes or so, so send your answers in, guys. I'll try and answer all of the burning questions that you might have. Let's see actually what are the latest headlines in my threat intel feed at the same time. Another ransomware attack on a school, that's not good to see. Oh, that's quite cool. Google's DeepMind division on Monday announced an artificial powered agent called Code Mender that automatically detects patches and rewrites vulnerable code to prevent future exploits. Now that's an interesting development. Is FAIR method worth adopting for risk quantification? Yeah, definitely. I think FAIR is obviously one of the better methods to do for risk quantification. There obviously are others. I think you just have to find what works best. You know, I'm always sometimes, you know, fascinated. I've been to various, you know, conferences, various sort of meetings where you get to talk about these things with people, you know, and sometimes it really, you know, fascinates me the scale. I think I was in one of the SANS CISO networking events, I believe, and I was just talking with some CISOs, you know, and then you get to meet, for example, CISOs from, you know, massive banks, and we were talking about that exact thing. We were talking about risk quantification. So one of the CISOs of a bank said he's got 100 data scientists who are running Monte Carlo simulations to do risk quantification. Now, if you can imagine, you know, you got businesses, you know, I work for a fintech, you know, so we got a relatively small cybersecurity team, you know, under 10 people, you know, and then you got banks who, you know, probably got hundreds, if not thousands in their cyber teams, who can spend 100 data scientists just to do Monte Carlo simulations and actually do risk quantification. So the scale sometimes is vast and incredible between, you know, various businesses when you see that. So yeah, FAIR is definitely one of the ways to go. You can look at, if you haven't read, I think, is it Richard Sierson? Yeah, that wrote the book How to Measure Anything in Cybersecurity Risk. They even got in the book, I don't remember where it is, but they got links to their templates. So they got pre-built Excel sheets that actually allows you to just input couple of values and they will run simulation for you on Monte Carlo, so you can get a sort of a curve grade to understand your cyber risk posture or cyber risk quantification on specific events, from data breaches to ransomware to whatever you want, to quantify. But yeah, have a look at that book if you haven't read how to measure anything in cybersecurity risk. And that's one of the ways to go, definitely, to look at quantifying risk. Let's have a look what else is there on the news. Yeah, no problem, Ray. Happy to answer any burning questions, and hopefully it helps. What else is there? Redis floor. Some Medusa ransomware news. There's some researchers warn of self-spreading WhatsApp malware. Well, that's not good. Discord's user data stolen in third-party data breach. What is that? That's by Graham Cluley, so obviously that should be good. Discord confirmed the user on a third-party customer service provider rather than gaining access to Discord. So they stole messages, corporate data, billing information, and Discord usernames. It was breached by a Zendesk. Okay. What is that? 5 critical questions for adopting an AI security solution. There's always something about AI. Oh yeah, Renault had supply chain attack as well. Let's have a look what's in there. So Renault, the car manufacturer, they also had a personal data breach has been maybe compromised. So it's been shared by Troy Hunt. I think just going back to a bit of that JLR thing, and the same now this as well. So Renault, again, this is a supply chain breach. I've been talking to various professionals within kind of cyber industry. I think, as far as I'm aware, not only we have not solved, but we haven't gotten close to actually addressing supply chain risk and managing it properly. And I think there needs to be a kind of an overhaul idea how to do it better. Supply chain risk management is very hard thing to nail, and how to manage it properly and how to understand, what the risks you are undertaking when you're onboarding a supplier. Mainly the process is very manual, and the sort of the automation kind of tools that are out there, they don't kind of help in that way, and they haven't dented in any way to solving that problem. So actually it would be interesting to see how, who and what will challenge to solve that problem in the near future. Because I think, there needs to be a new approach or a new way thinking about how we can potentially look to limit supply chain risk. Let's see if we can get some light. Maybe a bit. Oh, but then my letters disappear. Well, that's not good. Ah, there we go. Yeah, so I think it's definitely needs a new approach, the way we do supply chain risk. Any more questions before I shoot, guys? Let me know if you have any other burning questions about cybersecurity. Hopefully some of the answers that I provided has been useful, guys. If not, I will end the stream in a few minutes. But, would love to share your views, guys. Hopefully if you find it useful, I'm going to plan some more in the future. I think I just need to figure it out. What are the best and the most appropriate times to actually get as much people as possible on these streams and actually, get more questions answers instead of, me blabbing about some stuff that nobody cares about, and actually provide some value for you guys. So, would love to hear stuff in the comments, what you would like to see more, the type of streams, the type of events. I obviously, run my regular podcasts, and I actually need to record some more episodes with some interesting people in the near future. But, what other stuff you would love to see. Then, hopefully, guys, we'll see you in the next streams very soon. Have a wonderful evening, and obviously, stay safe.